Can you remember your very first job? I will never forget the first job that I had as a 16-year-old. I didn't go the typical route of most of my friends working fast food or working in a grocery store back in the day when you would bag groceries for people who came through getting their groceries. I actually became a telemarketer. I spent my time at work cold calling houses while you were at dinner. Remember back in the day, you'd be eating with your family, the phone would ring, the home phone line, and you would pick it up, and someone would be trying to sell you something. My pitch was one that we raised funds for a local organization, and I would say, "Hey, my name's Brandon, and I'm calling with the Alabama Sports Festival. I want to let you know that the Olympic Games are coming back to town again this year, and each and every year, you've been a big supporter of all the kids, helping them to participate in the games, and I want to ensure that the kids could count on your support again this year." What an interesting job to have as a 16-year-old kid. But I'll tell you, as interesting as the job was, the whole environment and experience was equally, if not more so. The office that I worked in, it was a smoky, dirty, and just dingy office. And then some of the employees that worked with me, they seemed like they may have been a better fit or had been rejected from the circus. For example, I remember the manager would make out with his girlfriend in the middle of the office. It was just such a weird environment. And then the job itself, it was pretty brutal. You were constantly yelled at, cursed at, and people would hang up on you. I mean, like every phone call, they're just hanging up or yelling or cursing. Employees, they just couldn't handle it. Most of them would come and go faster than you change reels on TikTok. But I just didn't quit. There was something about it that I liked. And as I look back on it, today I think about so many valuable lessons that I learned while working that job and ultimately just helped develop a lot of who I am today. And I think back over my professional life, and I haven't quit a lot of jobs. I've mostly graduated jobs. When a transition took place in my work life, it was really because of advancement or a new opportunity. But there is one job that I actually quit, and it was really a hard thing for me to do. And as I think about the way I quit and the way I handled it and I walked through it, I didn't do all the things the right way. But no one had told me how to transition from a job. But did you know last year in 2023, 44.5 million people quit their jobs? Today, maybe you're thinking about quitting your job. Maybe you're wrestling with this thought of should I or should I not? Well, there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way that you do. So today we're going to discuss some of the reasons that people are wanting to quit their jobs. Maybe, possibly you, or even you as a manager or a leader or an owner, possibly some of the people on your team. I want to give you some things to consider before you quit your job. And ultimately, if that's the decision that you make, I want to give you the healthiest way to quit your job. So welcome to the Mind Your Business podcast, the podcast for whatever business is on your mind. Let's get started.
Well, that's excellent.
Well, thank you for joining me for another episode of the Mind Your Business podcast. If this brings value to your life, will you do me a favor? As always, like, subscribe, share this with others, maybe even leave a review. I just want to add as much value to as many people as possible. So are you thinking about quitting your job? Why are other people just like you quitting their jobs? Well, let's take a look at some of the top reasons that people give for leaving their jobs. Quickly, I want to give you 8. The first one is just a lack of growth opportunities. Maybe no one is investing in you or helping you grow where you are. There's no clear path to advancement. When you don't have a clear path to advancement, you don't feel challenged, and then it leaves you feeling underutilized, and then you get bored on your job, and you feel like you're going nowhere. So many people will jump ship at the first opportunity for growth. So if you're a business owner or a manager or leader, are you providing that for your team? Many people are wanting to advance, they're wanting to grow, but they don't feel the opportunity. Another big one people say is that they have a poor work-life balance. We all know this is a big one, especially coming out of COVID. You're consistently working long hours, but you don't feel like the compensation or the recognition is there. So you're experiencing burnout. People just go, I can't work these hours anymore. I can't miss another function for my family. I'm not making enough money to do this. No one recognizes the hard work that I'm putting in. So this poor work-life balance causes you to seek out something that is more beneficial for your personal life. Another is a toxic work environment. There is a negative culture within your company. People will not stay in a negative culture of their company. So be sure to check out episode 13 because we talked about how to build a healthy company culture. We talked about some of the things that are present in a toxic work environment and some things that you can do to overcome it. People will bail on a toxic work environment. Number 4 is compensation issues. You just don't have adequate pay. Maybe your salary is below the industry standards. You're not meeting even what you could be making across town at the other company, possibly doing the same or a similar job role. Maybe you have a lack of adequate benefits or bonuses or raises. People just go, it's expensive to live right now, and I have to make as much as I possibly can. So people are looking for advancement in their pay. Another one is poor management. This helps to contribute to the negative company culture that we talked about. People don't like to be micromanaged, and they don't like a lack of recognition. They don't like someone who just treats them as someone who just punches a clock and does a task. If they're not being invested in by their manager, if they're not being challenged by their manager, if they're not being trained, if they're not being recognized, all of these things is a poor management structure, and people won't stay if they don't feel like they're a part of the team. Another is job insecurity. Maybe there are constant layoffs or restructuring, maybe within your company. Maybe it's just the company's having a tough time and people feel unsettled, like they don't know if their job's going to be there. Or maybe the company ultimately is experiencing some financial troubles and people can see what's going on around them, so they just don't feel secure in their job. So maybe you're thinking about going somewhere where you have some longevity. Number 7 is better opportunities. You just have a better opportunity somewhere. There's just another offer on the table. Someone's offered you a better job or a better role or a better work environment, a better schedule, something that's just a better opportunity. Or ultimately, maybe you just want a career change. You're just feeling like, I want to do something different. And then number 8, this is interesting to hear people say, they just have a gut feeling. Your instincts are telling you it's just time to move on. Maybe we've all at some point had that gut feeling saying it's just time for a change. It's time to do something different. These 8 are just some of the primary reasons that millions of people quit their jobs and walked away from their place of employment in 2023. How many of these that we talked about are you struggling with today? Any one of these are valid reasons to quit what you do and where you do it each and every day. But before we discuss a healthy way to quit, I want to bring some balance to your decision making. I want to challenge you just a little bit. Because although these are all valid reasons, there's a high probability that you'll face some of these same issues on the next professional adventure that you find. See, no matter how green the grass looks on the other side, that grass still has to be watered, it has to be fertilized, it has to be cut, and the weeds still have to be plucked. Here's what I'm saying. Don't make a permanent decision over a temporary problem. So how do you know if it's a temporary problem? How do you know if it can be resolved? Should I stay or should I go? Well, let me give you just a few questions really quick that you can consider. I want to ask you this. Can you clearly define what your concerns are? Sometimes when we feel like we're unhappy or we're depressed where we are, we don't feel fulfilled, sometimes the problems or the concerns that we have, they're not concrete, they're abstract. We can't clearly define what it is. If someone were to ask us, what can I change? You wouldn't have an answer to give. So you have to know that you can sit down and clearly define the problems that you have. Because if they're not clearly defined, you won't know what to look for so that you can avoid it in the next position that you take. Another question is, have you communicated this to your leadership? If you can clearly define it, have you sat down with your manager, with your boss, someone who's in authority over the role that you have, and have you communicated this to them so that they're clear and they know about it? You can't just assume that someone knows. Assumption will get you nowhere. You have to have clear communication. So, have you communicated this to someone who can potentially do something about it? And can your concerns be corrected where you are? In other words, if I have a problem and I need something fixed, well, can you do it in your current company? Can you have these fixed in the place that you are without having to jump ship, start over, and do something completely different? And the last question that I want you to consider, and this is the toughest of them all because you have to be brutally honest with yourself. Are you sure that you aren't the problem? Now, I know most of us, we wouldn't even entertain this question. No, they're the problem. I already know it's not me. But here's what I want to challenge you with. If the same problem follows you regardless of where you are, you may want to dig into that question just a little bit more. If you find yourself consistently in a new place with new people doing new things, yet you have the same problems, the same gripes, and the same issues over and over and over, it may just possibly be, hear me out, that you are the problem and not the environment that you're in. And all that means is you have an opportunity to work on yourself, to grow a little bit, and you can resolve a lot of the issues you have because it's easier to fix you than it is to fix everyone who is around you. So we've identified some of the common reasons you may be wanting to quit your job. We've asked ourselves some good questions that challenge that decision to quit. So what have you decided? Are you going to work it out where you are? Are you going to take the plunge and go for something new? Well, if you're still firm on quitting or if you're on the fence and still struggling with it, let me just give you a healthy 5-step process to quitting. I mean, a healthy process to quitting. There's a right way to quit and there is a wrong way to quit. So I want to give you something healthy. Number one, I want you to consider your goals. Consider your goals. When you're thinking about starting over, you need to consider the goals that you have. On average, we spend 1/3 of our lives working. That is a lot of our life that we do each and every day that you don't want to spend miserable. You want to be fulfilled. So ask yourself this question. What can you do every day that would not feel like work? In other words, what could you do every day that you would be passionate about and that would bring you purpose? I think the best way to set the goals for your professional life is to build everything on that very question. Build everything on your passion and build it on your purpose. Ask yourself, what kind of future do I want to live in? What do I want my future to look like? What do I want my work, my professional life to be? And then clarify what it's going to take to achieve that goal. Your place of employment should feel like a partnership in getting to where you want to go. You add value to the company that you work for, and they add value to you. It should be more like a partnership. So consider the goals that you have for your professional life. Number two, this is an important one, is you should consider your feedback. Consider your feedback. Here's what I mean. Wisdom is found in the counsel of many. Be willing to have honest conversations with people who are around you. Ask for feedback from friends or your family members, maybe even your coworkers. Who would know better than the people who are working beside you every day? They have the same boss, they have the same leadership, they have the same company structure, the same company culture. Ask them if you're the problem. Ask them if they're experiencing some of the same pain points that you are. If you have a mentor in your life, ask the mentor. Get a different perspective on your situation. See, all of these different people and personalities, they offer a different perspective on your strengths, on your weaknesses, on the blind spots that you don't even know about. We all have blind spots in our life. People can see things about us. They can see our weaknesses. They can see our strengths that we can't see within ourselves. And that's why you need these perspectives. Ultimately, they can even offer creative solutions to some of the problems that you're having. You may not have thought about a solution to the problem, and because they have a different perspective, they can offer you some different insight. I also think it's beneficial to have honest conversations with your boss or with your manager. I already know you don't want to do that. You're not talking to them. You've tried. Have an honest conversation, transparent with your boss or your manager. Ask them to give you some feedback. Their feedback may actually help you to see things just a little bit differently. You may go, "Oh, I didn't think about that. I didn't consider your perspective. I didn't recognize it from your point of view." Or ultimately, it may just confirm the reasons that you have for wanting to leave your job. Regardless, the feedback that you get from these people, it will give you valuable perspective on pros and cons of quitting, the impact it's going to have on your life, and ultimately, it'll just help you make a more well-rounded, more informed decision. So consider feedback from people around you before you quit your job. Number 3, this is important. Consider your options. So if you've decided, yep, I need to quit, it's the right decision for me, I want to ask you, have you explored all of the options? When we think about quitting, many of us begin to look externally. We immediately look to what's outside of where we are. The grass is greener on the other side, right? But the question to ask yourself is, does my current company, does my current employer offer different jobs or different departments that would allow you to transfer inside of your current company? So instead of having to go out and start completely over, are there things that you could do internally that would help you to do that? That way, you get new coworkers, you get a new environment, you get a new department, maybe a new role, a new job description, but you don't have to go to all the trouble of leaving one company and going and starting at another. Maybe there's jobs that are currently available that are out there right now that may or may not align with your career goals. So if you start thinking outside of the company, you have to consider, well, are the jobs that are available going to align with the goals that I just set for myself? And if you are not making a move that's going to advance you or to further you in getting closer to those goals, you don't want to make a lateral move. You don't want to go do something just because it's different. You're going to end up in the same situation. If there are other jobs or careers that are available in the job market that will help you get closer to those goals, then go apply for some of those opportunities. Just gauge the market and see what is available. And then as you explore these different options, you could take this time to update your resume, network with some people that may help you get to where you want to go, maybe work on building some skills that might be beneficial for the next position that you're looking for. This is just a really good opportunity to get yourself together as you begin to look for the opportunities that are available to you. Number 4, here's another one, and I think this is the biggest. Consider your finances. Consider your finances. I'm always amazed when I hear that someone has quit their job, they don't have any jobs lined up, and they don't know how they're going to pay their bills. This, my friend, is a recipe for disaster. If you don't have one already, you need a detailed budget to understand your monthly expenses. You need to know where you are financially. I'm shocked at the people who don't have a budget. They don't know where their money goes, and then they quit their job and they don't know how they're going to pay the bills. You need to get a budget together if you don't have it, and then find ways that you can cut spending, save money while you're moving into a transition. More importantly, while you still have a job. Listen, while you still have a job, build an emergency fund that can cover at least 3, if not 6 months of living expenses. This just gives you a safety net while you're looking for new opportunities. If you don't have a safety net, you can't pay your bills, you're just going to take the next available job so you can make ends meet, and that's not going to get you any closer to where you wanted to go. And then internally, while you still have a job, take advantage of any of the opportunities that you may have financially that you haven't thought about. So for example, maybe there's some severance pay or benefits that you may be entitled to, and then begin to factor those into your financial plan. For example, you may have the option to cash out some unused vacation time or possibly some sick time. And then if you can't cash it, well, then use that time while you explore other job options. So take a vacation day to go to a job interview or go to a networking, something that's going to help you use the resources that you have. And then don't think that it's beyond you to consider part-time work or maybe freelance opportunities just to generate income during this transition period. Don't be the unemployed person who refuses a job because they're waiting on a management position. Sure, I can't pay my bills. I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet, but I'm waiting on a management position. If you aren't financially prepared to quit your job, don't quit your job. Listen to me. I'll say that again. If you're not financially prepared to quit your job, don't quit your job. And then number 5, the last of this process, is consider your transition. Consider your transition. If you do decide to leave your job, leave well. Regardless of the reason that you feel the need to leave, do it with character and do it with integrity. Don't burn any bridges. You never know if you'll need to cross back over that bridge one day. I think personally, how you leave a job is more important than how you arrive. It says a lot about the person when they resign. When you quit, I think you should do it in person. I think you should give plenty of notice, and you should continue to work to the best of your ability as long as you're employed inside of that company. If you are given an exit interview, be honest about your work experience. Offer some constructive criticism. Let them know why you feel the way you feel. They may not know it, and they'll never grow if they're not aware of the problems. But regardless, be grateful, be kind, and honor those people who provided you with the position that you have. Just show gratitude. Be kind to other people because you should treat other people the way you want to be treated, and then you should honor people. I just believe that you reap what you sow. So I think you should sow good seeds and you should leave well. Have you heard the saying that winners never quit and quitters never win? Even though we've just discussed 5 easy ways to quit, I do think this quote holds a lot of truth. See, my hope for you is not that you would quit your job, but to graduate. A graduation is a successful completion. So leverage the lessons that you've learned from your current position, work these 5 steps, and graduate to your next professional adventure. Find something that you love, that fills you with passion and fulfills your purpose. Then you're going to have a hard time knowing if you're working or if you're playing. And if you lead an organization, I want to ask you this: how many on your team are thinking about quitting? Are people wanting to enter your organization or are they wanting to exit? I would love to help ensure that your company is the place to be. You can use the link in the show notes to schedule a free 15-minute personal consultation with me to see how I can add value to your organization. And I want to encourage you, be sure to share your thoughts across all of my social media platforms. And always, if this added value, will you take a moment to like, subscribe, share, and leave a review? This just helps to ensure that we can help as many people as possible. So thanks again for being a part of the Mind Your Business podcast, the podcast for whatever business is on your mind. We'll see you next time.